All right, you're watching TVC Breakfast. Let's get to the next discussion now. The 2023 election is around the corner, and all aspiring candidates and their parties are working towards emerging winners. The National Rescue Movement gubernatorial candidate, Akin Braithwaite, is not an exception. Mr. Braithwaite is hoping to become the next governor of Lagos State. With a career spanning over 30 years in various sectors like insurance, academia, information technology, telecommunications, and agriculture, he believes he has what it takes to become the preferred candidate of Lagosians. That is the next discussion. Now, joining us here is the NRM gubernatorial candidate, Akin Braithwaite, to speak on his plans and agenda for Lagos State. It's nice to have you join us in the studio.
Thank you very much. It's nice
Great.
to be here. First time.
It's okay. Now, Lagos is a very unique and peculiar state. If you compare it with other states in the Federation, it is seen as the arrowhead state where Lagos does things. Even the federal government sometimes copy from Lagos State, ideas, concepts. So it means Lagos is ahead. And so expectations from Lagosians and even other governors and other state governments is quite, you're looking at Lagos like that. As it is right now, contesting or wanting to be governor of Lagos State is a big deal. Why should Lagosians vote you? Let me start from there.
Wow, that's a loaded question, and it goes right to the heart of it. Lagos needs, as you said, if it's really up there, I would call it, it's at the epicenter of Africa. It used to be referred to as a mega city, which stands for any city that is 10 million population. But it's now exceeded 20 million, as they say. So it's a hyper city now. And to that extent, it therefore needs a real deep and wide, safe pair of hands. Because where it needs to get to, we're getting to a world now of driverless vehicles. We're getting to the world of AI. We are now in a world that is so different to where we've been coming from. And to that extent, you really, really need to ensure that for us to get to the next level, you really have somebody who can take us there and ensure that we really get there. So someone who's been involved in innovation, as I have been, who's been involved in information technology, a lot of data is involved, complexity, the complexity of the population of Lagos, the fact that it's a cosmopolitan place. My previous experience, serves me well in that regard. I've had to hire a lot of people, so my human capital skills, the fact that I've had to work with diverse people, the fact that I have also served in 6 states in the Southwest when I was working then with Celtel, which is now Airtel, rolling out critical infrastructure, telecoms infrastructure, the commercial infrastructure, the fact that I had to deal with the local communities, ensure that we had effective rollout, impactful projects, ensuring that we were dealing with very, very large budgets. You want to be able to be sure that you have somebody who can deal with large sums of money and can be trusted to do so. And I could go on, for half the day if we had the time.
When you say large sum of money, how much are you talking about?
We're talking billions of dollars.
We're talking of billions of dollars. So
Yes.
is there anything close to what a governor of Lagos State handles?
Well,
Because that may just be a sliver of that budget.
Yes.
So how do you compare that with what Lagos, for instance, Lagos is handling trillions?
Yes, so
Yes.
any governor, of the state would not have handled trillions before he became governor. He handles it based on
So how
what
do
he
you
has
now,
to deal with.
how do you now want to now square with one who has been handling trillions, who has not had the experience, and you have not?
Very, very easily. In fact, it might interest you to note that the current governor and I were neighbors. We used to live together in the same estate. So I know him, nice, chap, and there's really, every potential to be able to deal with all of this thing. As an individual, if you are a trillionaire, from the get-go, then possibly you wouldn't be handling the state, as it were. So I think that really the essential thing here is what I'm demonstrating to you as I'm applying for the job is to say, hey, look, listen, I'm very okay with handling large sums of money. You don't even necessarily handle it as an individual, but I'm okay with handling a team and managing the large resources, human capital, financial capital, assets that this state needs.
All right. Lagos has, there are so many areas that one would say if you want to govern Lagos, you have so many things to look at, whether it's from waste management to traffic coordination or control, unemployment, education, health, name it. But if you are looking at, because from your standpoint, it looks like you're putting Lagos on the table and you're deciding to, do that as a way of fixing things. What do you think Lagos needs the most right now?
Thank you. I think that's a deep question. So when you're talking about priorities, the way I would set the priorities would be really essentially around the people. I think that if you look at the Constitution, in the second chapter, in section 16, it talks about the need for food, shelter, livelihood. And, for me, I think that needs to be front and center. In terms of the priorities, really, we're living in a situation now. And, life is an evolution. We're living in a situation now where there are 2 million plus children out of school. We're talking about a large rate of unemployment, over 40% youth unemployment. And I think at that point, it really puts us to the point where we're saying, what are the human issues? So I would put the human issues front and center to say, look, we need rapid development, and that has to happen at the human level. We need to ensure that there's full employment. So I would establish a new deal for Lagosians to say, there has to be full employment for those who really are able-bodied, who want to work but cannot find work. If they can't find work, though they try, the government needs to create jobs. Where it isn't able to do so, then there must be a safety net. So to that extent, too, I would put front and center the social benefits, unemployment benefits. I would drive very hard the cottage industries. It would make sure that the SME sector really comes alive. Because if you look at the way that China, for example, brought its people out of poverty, it did a lot through the cottage industries, setting up mini manufacturing things and whatever. And to that extent, I would really, really go at activating the local government. Because you can't have rapid development without having a very, very active local governance system. So local government, active local government, devolution of power to local government would be top agenda item.
From what you're saying, it looks like you are trying to replicate what has been going on. There's some people will say what you are saying, there's nothing original about it because the one you are talking about getting people to job or get people back to work, they are already doing it in Lagos. There are a lot of empowerment programs, job empowerment programs, even at the local level, local government level, whether it is the sweepers, whether it's the cleaners, whether it is getting people who are whether it's in agriculture and so on. They have done that. So what is your own strategy? How is it going to be different?
Well, you could argue that roads have always been built. You could argue that governments have always done. Government is a continuum. What I'm talking about here is priorities. Government is doing what government should do. Remember that government has been set up for us, for you and me. Government is there to make the people happy. So if government is doing the things that you have said, we're not going to clap for government because that's exactly what we, the people, set government up to do, okay? The issue, however, is that to what extent is it prioritizing these things? To what extent is it really doing it, as it should be done? And the beauty about democracy is that it allows for change, You could do stuff and you could say, I've done well. I haven't said that the government has not done well. What I am saying is that I want to do better. I want to take it to another level. And that's allowed for in democracy. You see, without having other viewpoints, without having other innovative ideas and creativity, we're just going to be going around in what we think is okay kingdom. But we want to get to a point where, look at Dubai, look at all of these other countries. You know, they started after we did. Lagos was the capital of Nigeria, for goodness sake. So when we're talking about innovation, I wouldn't treat education the way it's being treated now. I would come in with various computerized forms of education. I'll give you an example. During COVID-19, a very close friend of mine, who used to be an ex-colleague in MTN, set up data science. And they've been using AI to teach children. During the COVID, 8 million children benefited from their methodology, which was using a mobile phone, not the smartphone, because I know you're going to say, well, how many children have? So it wasn't even the smartphone. They were using this 2G simple, what we call the feature phone. And they were delivering education. They didn't even need the four walls of a classroom. So things like that, there are innovations that we would put into play that really would kickstart this thing. I've been in agriculture. I've been in farming. We can create a lot of cottage farms. We can create urban farms where people can grow food. You know, we have a problem now with food security and all of that. But even in the urban setting, we can roll out different types of urban farms that would really get things cracking to the point where we can really create these
urban farms in Lagos.
Anything that I say may not necessarily be new, but I'm talking about scale. I'm talking about the approach. Okay? We don't have it to the scale that we could have it. The fact that you scored 50% doesn't mean that we shouldn't push for 80%. You understand where I'm coming from? So what I'm saying is that it's an issue of prioritization. It's an issue of to what extent your priority may be, you know, the bridge, building bridges. My priority may be, hey, look, I want to build the people. Okay? So it's a question of priority. I don't think that I would follow the priority and the agenda of this.
What's the basis of the name of the party, National Rescue Party? When you call your party National Rescue Party, you're not going to meet. You're not there to say somebody is doing well. You actually somebody is drowning. Like if you want to go to Bayelsa now when this flood is going on, you are going to drown people. You are going there to drown people. To save people who are drowning, to rescue people who are drowning. But you are calling yourself National Rescue Party, and all you are saying is that you want to do better. In other words, the person who is drowning the person is not actually drowning, he's actually swimming. I want him to improve the speed and so on. So why would I trust you to do that? Your name itself does not really reconcile with what vision you are talking about.
Okay. So are you saying that 2 million children out of school don't need to be rescued from that terrible situation? Are you saying that the 84 million people going to 90 million who are living in poverty don't need to be rescued
You're
from
talking
poverty?
about the governors of Lagos.
Are you saying the people sleeping under the bridge of Lagos don't need to be rescued from underneath the bridge? There's a lot of rescue that needs to happen.
No, what he's saying is that all of these programs you have outlined are already going on.
Yes.
And because they're already going on, there has to be something drastic.
Yes.
There has to be something monumental to create that change. Because Lagos is such a huge state that there has to be something signature for people to feel the impact of it.
The scale of what is going on is what we're talking about. We're not living in the moon, for goodness sake. So there is a point at which even every advanced country, you still have change in power, not because things are not going on.
All right.